As usual, we'll start with US500 as mentioned, DXY, USDT dominance, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then we'll go over the remaining ones. Feel free to request any altcoin, and I would be happy to do it. Of course, next we'll cover NWC. But first, let's check the overall market. US 500 is the most or the biggest 500 stocks, or also known as S&P 500. We can see that we have been bullish lately inside this correction movement. As mentioned previously, if you remember, we had this high, which we can see from H4, broken upward, a classic retest, traded higher. We had this major high also now broken. Now price is approaching a resistance, and you can clearly see these are our support and resistance zones. Of course, we also got one up there, but I didn't draw it. But now if you break it upward, we will also place a resistance right here, okay? And yeah, that's basically these are our levels from daily time frame, and we know that we are still overall bearish from a long-term perspective, trading inside this big falling brown channel, and we are currently in a correction phase. This movement reminds me pretty much of this movement. Okay, so let's see if we'll get an overextended movement, and also this one broken upward, traded higher, the impulse movement started, broken upward, traded higher, impulse movement started. So now we are breaking above this. If we break above this resistance, which is also a supply zone, as you see, an aggressive movement there from here, also a support, resistance, and support, right? If it's broken upward, expect further bullish movement till our next resistance zone around like 4.1K, 4.2K. Okay, so that's it from daily time frame. From H4, as mentioned, we broke above this high. We had a classic retest, traded higher, and we are currently approaching a very strong resistance zone. This resistance in blue price can still dive inside it before trading lower, or we might have a correction movement from here. We've got this trend line that we got multiple rejections from, impulse and then impulse again. We might have another impulse movement down from here, but for now, as long as we are trading inside this channel, we are bullish, and every bearish movement would simply be a correction before the bulls take over and push the price again. So I've got two possible scenarios here. The first one is, of course, if we trade a little bit higher, we might even still drop lower. The first one is if we trade higher and then fail to break above the zone, instead make a new low and then break it downward. In this case, a bearish move would be expected. The second possible scenario would be if we trade higher or like from here. Anyway, we start the correction, and then the next one would break above the resistance zone. In this case, we'll be expecting one more bullish impulse, just like this. So in brief, we've got this area, which is a very strong area to look out for. Like for those who already know me, I always like I like to post this kind of analysis. Let me show you. Here we go. Right, so you can see like this zone right here. For example, if you click on play anyway, you can see that price reacted around this area. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, like, it's still new, but like I always like to find the intersection between two support and resistance, and on horizontal and so on. For example, on DXY, also we had the reaction from this area. So I always look for an intersection of multiple support and resistance. Anyway, like this is monthly time frame, so don't expect to see much now. But I guess, yeah, like we had this one, but price like didn't go this far. I guess it went up. I'm not really sure. Let me check. Okay, so like the play button is taking too long. I'm sorry. Yeah, it didn't retest up there, but you've got the idea, right? So this one is, yeah, also monthly, but we had a nice reaction from here as well. Okay, but like we can't really now see it. Okay, so this is basically it. I would draw a zone just like here, right? Because it is the intersection of the upper trend line and this resistance zone. Unless, of course, again and again, it's broken upward, in this case, further bullish movement. This is the first scenario. The second possible scenario, broken upward, this movement, or this correction, and then break below the low, below the channel. In this case, a bearish movement would be expected. Anyway, enough for US 500. Let me check the chat before I move forward to the next ones. Joseph, hope you're doing good. Let's move to new house. I haven't had internet connection. It's great to be able to join again. Happy to see you here. Like, we will go over Galatasaray, hope very soon. Uh, okay, and we also got like the tipster guy. Hope you're doing fine. I guess I said everyone. Yeah. Okay. We've got Joseph and we've also got ID Joseph. I don't know if you guys are the same one, but like joining from different platforms, or you are two different people. Okay. Okay, Joseph. Of course, we'll go over Galatasaray. Fantastic. So let's do it. That's it for US500. On DXY, on the other hand, we had a nice movement downward. As I mentioned multiple times previously, if you remember, that we might have a rejection from here as long as we don't have a big bullish candle closing above the 113, right? If you remember from the previous session, that we are still expecting this movement, it would be a nice lower high, right? Signaling an early alert that a potential reversal might happen, which would be confirmed by breaking below this 110 zone, which is lining up with multiple previous lows and highs, and so on. But as long as we are here, we might still be able to push higher. Again, just like US500, we might push lower, trade higher, and then break it downward, or we might push higher, break the 113, and keep on trading higher. Very interesting times so far, but finally we can see some movements after a couple of weeks stock inside the range on almost like the entire market, right? So we had this movement approaching a support zone now. Unless we break it down entirely, then we'll be expecting this movement, which we can see even better from weekly time frame. That's our last major low from a long-term perspective, and where we also have this trend line here, right, which we saw from daily time frame. So here might be a good, nice rejection zone, just like previously correction, traded higher, correction, traded higher. We are currently in this correction before we trade higher again. So we want a break below this to finally say that, yeah, now we are bearish. Now we are expecting a long-term bullish movement in the stock market, in the crypto market, and so on. But for now, this might be just an overextended correction. And by overextended, I mean because previously we had small movements like one swing only, right? Before the next bullish movement starts. However, if you compare this correction now, you can see that it's formed with multiple swings, right? Not only one swing, but multiple swings, which might be an early alert that, yeah, the bears are not as weak as before. They are now kicking in, and like already DXY is like too overextended, and it's time for a little break, right? And you can see it even better from H4 time frame now. If we were to draw a channel like this, right, because we had a lower high and now a lower low, that's it. So inside this channel, and yes, just like US 500, we have a golden zone right here. We have this purple area that I like to usually draw. So this entire zone is a strong support area, intersection of this 110 zone, lower trend line in orange, lower trend line in red, and so on. So yeah, we might trade a little bit lower, but then we'll be expecting this bullish movement unless we break it entirely downward. In this case, this whole scenario would be broken, like would be invalidated, and the bears would say, yeah, okay, bulls, it's time for a little bit of a downward movement, okay? For now, this is just a small bearish movement. This reminds me of this bearish movement, and then look what happened, traded higher again. Okay, so we might still have this movement and then a break below it, okay, inside this channel, or which I personally don't prefer, this to be very similar to this, right? But of course, this is bigger and so on. Like this is a one swing on daily, this is a multiple swings on daily, but the same logic, it might be a very similar one as a continuation like this, and then a break above the 113 finally from a daily time frame. In this case, expect the unexpected, expect the DXY to trade even higher from here till around the intersection again and again. That's it. Okay, between 120 and the upper trend line in orange. Anyway, let's take it step by step. But like I always like to show you what to expect from a long term, like from a long term perspective, like in case in case like something happens to me. But like of course, like I'll be updating it like next week. But for now, we know what to look for around the support zone. Now the bears are clearly in control, trading lower. So let's see how it goes. This one is already annoying for now. And from a shorter term perspective, from H1, sorry, we are bearish impulse correction. We had our impulse, a very small correction, which means that the bears are very strong, still very strong, impulse correction and so on. So basically, this is our last major high for now. Of course, like from H1, of course. And for now, as long as we don't really break below above the high, we can still trade lower and lower. But if we see this, it might be a signal that we might have a short-term bullish movement, would be rejecting the zone. Of course, meanwhile, we can set trade lower, make a new high, and then break it upward. In this case, it would be even better. It would be diving inside this purple circle I drew, which would be a massive zone for the bulls to kick in. That's it. Let me check the chat. Okay. Let's move forward and get into crypto. Finally, right? So USDT dominance. That's it. Finally, we rejected this resistance. We have been trading around it for a long period of time. For if you want, let's go to weekly and see it better. Let's zoom in a little bit and count the weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row, right? So 5 weeks consolidation. Finally, some movements, a break, and of course, let's see how this week will close, because we still have a couple of days for it to close, but things are looking good so far. If we close below these wicks, okay, let me show you. If we close below these wicks, right, it would be fantastic. Okay, if you close below it, would be engulfing one candle, engulfing the previous 5 candles, right? So it would be a very good, strong signal that yeah, the bears are stronger than ever. They won the battle here of this resistance zone and will be expecting a bearish movement till the next support zone. For now, it's very too early to judge because the weekly candle hasn't closed yet, especially that from daily time frame, we are currently around the support zone, which we already marked last week or like in a couple past weeks. We've got this support and resistance, support here, resistance here, resistance here and support now. Now we are diving inside it. But the good thing, as mentioned from weekly, we broke below this range, okay? Because we had a range previously, we didn't break it. Instead, we kept moving higher, form some wicks and form a new range, breaking it downwards now. But we are still bullish, okay? As long as we don't break below the support, we would be still bullish. And this movement, this one, reminds me of this one. Okay, so this is a very similar one, especially that you can draw a trend line right here like this, and a channel from the other from the upper side. Okay, so yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as a consolidation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We might have a consolidation here, and boom, we might even trade higher. Okay, but of course, let's wait for the market to make the first move and then react accordingly. We have a support zone here. Let's wait for what will happen. If we have a consolidation here, it might be a continuation if we break it downward and break the zone downward, or it might be a reversal if we break it upward and break above the zone again, because we need a break above these lows right now for the bulls to reclaim the support and say that, yeah, now this is a support, it's still a support, and we are taking over again. Okay. Okay, that's basically it. Can't really say much from lower time frames. This channel is already broken, but we know that we are still bullish as we are still above this support zone. Let's see if it will get broken downward. For now, I can't really add much. Maybe after a consolidation here, we'll be able to draw a pattern, and if it's broken upward, the bulls would take over. For now, as I mentioned earlier, that the bulls need to break back above the zone for them to take over. For now, this is the last minor high that the bulls need to break above to take over. And next, we've got this high right here. That's why I would prefer to see some kind of consolidation. And yes, we might still trade inside the zone for a while before we trade higher. And if we break it out downward, then yes, further continuation movement would be expected, and so on.